Hi and welcome. This is Senegas and Sarah the Rest, and with us today, Trish Osmond, a British actress based in Germany. Hi, Trish. Great to have you.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Trish. Hi. Great to have you here.
Hi, and nice to be invited. Thank you very much.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How come like a British actress is based in Germany? That's quite unusual, I would say, right? No?
You want some real history?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was born during the Second World War, and shortly after the end of the war, I said to my mother, I was only 4 years old. I said to my mother, when I'm big, I'm going to live in Germany. And she, well,
Yeah, that's quite shocking.
Okay.
Why? So why have you?
Goodness knows. And then I went at 11, I went to a very good English girls' school in England. And after the first year of Latin, in the second year, we were told, you will learn French, you will learn Spanish, you will learn German. And I was in the you will learn German group. And it was like I already knew it. I had no problem with German grammar, whatever. I was top of the class immediately. I never had a problem. By the time I was 16, just learning it at school, I was fluent.
Okay, so you didn't have problem with the German language, but I mean, with the German in general, German history, Germans, the UK and Britain, the Britain and German has some, obstacles during the.
We also have. You have to remember the British royal family are German, so it's only recent history.
Okay, so only recently you have a problem. Yeah, the Anglo-Saxons.
Well,
right?
they're not in.
They
were based in Hanover.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is some connection, right? And English and German
British
a little bit. English and German are
They've been English German have been like a brother or sister. They fight and they have no problem with each other. They just fight. I mean, okay, any country, we know that nowadays countries will suddenly go crazy. Somebody will come up who is an absolute criminal lunatic and take over the country, and that's what happened with Germany. If you look back in the German history in the 1920s, early 30s, it was ready for someone strong. It just happened to be someone who's strong, who was a criminal maniac, unfortunately.
And your family was reacting to you moving in, or when have you moved to Germany, and how was the reaction in the UK and and in Germany? How did Germans welcome you?
The Germans love British people. There's not a problem. Okay. My daughter came to Germany first as an au pair to study for a year before she went to university in England to study modern languages. And after one term, she went to university in England. And after one term, I got a letter with a stamp on it, a German stamp saying, "Sorry, Mum, I've dropped out of university because I fell in love with Germany and a German." So she was here first.
Okay.
She hasn't actually married him. She married someone else, and she's still got her doctorate in linguistics. So she did that in Germany. So when we moved over, I managed to persuade my husband to my third husband. Finally, I found a man who would come with me to Germany. So we moved to Germany, and then my two sons followed us, and we all just love living here. The only one who doesn't like it is my older sister, who's going back to the war. She was born just before the beginning. She saw friends killed and bombed and stuff. And she said, "I'm sorry, I am never setting foot in Germany. I'll meet you at the Belgian border, but I'm not setting foot in Germany."
Okay, so
when the rest of your family is here now in Germany.
My children are, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Yes, they're all here.
What's the reaction? But there, I mean, like in the surrounding, okay, you said that the Germans were welcome you very nicely, but how other like British friends or something like that react to this?
Well, British friends came to visit us from time to time, and they couldn't believe how wonderful it was. And they said they'd go back home to England and say, "We've just come back from holiday. Where have you been? Germany. Are you crazy? Who goes to Germany on holidays?"
Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about your career as an actress. Tell us something about this. When did it start? Why did you get into this business to begin with?
Right. It started just after the war, when I was 2.5 years old. My mother wrote a children's play, and I even had a speaking part. In her, at 2.5 years old, I had to say, "My name is Tuppence, 2 pence." So it's 5 pennies. My name is Tuppence.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. I just fell in love with the stage. No problem. My father was very involved in amateur dramatics, and throughout my childhood, whenever I could, I was on stage with him. They used to do a lot of musical shows, and I was always there. I was a street child or whatever. Whatever I get on the stage, I was. Then, as soon as I could, I studied drama, I did ballet, I did voice training and all those usual things. But then I married the wrong man. We had 3 wonderful children, but he was the wrong man. And he said, "I will not have a wife as an actress." So I said, "Oh, this was the 60s, do what your husband tells you." So he destroyed any paperwork or certificates or anything I had to confirm I had studied. And I became a wife and mother and a very good cook. And as I say, then I married number 2. That was another story. And then about 30 years ago, just over 30 years ago, I came to Germany. And I I discovered an amateur dramatic group as part of the British Army, based near where I live now in Mönchengladbach. And so I joined them. We had wonderful fun doing amateur dramatics. The Witch and the Wizard of Oz. I'll get you, my darlings. I loved it.
Okay.
But then the British Army left this part of Germany. And I thought, this was 10 years ago. I thought, what do I do now? I've got nothing. So what do you do when you've got a question? You Google. So I Googled, "Wie wird man Komparser?" So I started off doing work as an extra 10 years ago. And now my training is accepted. I'm booked as an actress. I'm having an absolute ball all over Europe. And I'm loving every minute of it.
So if I'm getting it correctly, you postponed your career for a couple of years, right? When you got married.
I postponed my career. Let me work for 30 years.
Wow. And so how was it?
40 years.
So how was it to get back after this, this amount of time?
It was wonderful. I've loved every minute. Okay, I still have difficulty learning scripts, but maybe that's my age. But no, I've been so accepted. People know me. People, we want a crazy old woman. Ring Trish. Even the big people, ring Trish.
So come on, tell us about any interesting production that you have done recently that you remember that you like.
Well, the one which I will never forget. Although it wasn't really acting and such. You both, of course, know Willem Dafoe, the wonderful actor Willem Dafoe. Yes, right. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, Willem Dafoe, in the film Siberia, he found me naked in his cellar. He was hallucinating, and he found me naked on his cellar floor. Mm-hmm. And at the end of that scene, I am lying on my left-hand side, and Willem Dafoe, who has kept his clothes on, unfortunately, is lying behind me. And I spooned naked with Willem Dafoe.
Okay. So when was it? When are we talking about?
18 months ago. The film, yes, 18 months ago.
Recently, before the mess, before Corona.
Yeah, just before Corona. The film was actually distributed just before Corona, so it's never gone anywhere. So it's never been in a cinema. You have to get the DVD of it now, if you want to. It's a very, very strange film. I don't really know what it's about. It's all about hallucinating and what's going on in his mind. But I don't care. I spooned with Willem Dafoe. That's enough for me.
Okay. Yes, Sarah, do you have any questions?
What was the hardest or craziest thing you ever had to do for a role? Was it that?
That's it, isn't it? She just mentioned it. I think that you just
Actually, there was another film I did, another big film called A Boy Called Christmas, which is actually the premiere will be in November this year. A wonderful film. I had 2 days' work, and it was set in 17th century Finland, and I was the old lady in the village. And so the first day, I was dressed in this wonderful old scruffy costume with a goose under my arm. Now, to hold a goose, you have to hold its wing with your left hand, and with your right hand, you have to hold its neck. So its head is away, so it can't bite you. And I was like that all day, holding the goose and remembering my lines. And then on the second day, the scene was in my hut at night. I was sort of lying on old sacks and things, just lying there. And the goose was sort of sitting on a corner of the sack. And unfortunately, the goose had diarrhea. And every 5 minutes it was going, and there was an awful smell. But I thought, thank goodness it wasn't doing that when I was holding it under my arm.
Yeah, right.
This is great. Okay, so I wonder. I mean, like, what is your favorite? I mean, how's the industry got changed during this like 40 years of postponing this? From your perspective,
well, I never really got involved professionally back then in the 1960s. As soon as I was qualified, finished, and all the rest, I then stopped completely. And I mean, things are organized completely different in England. I know that in the UK, although I would love to be involved. A friend has said he may be able to get me involved in the UK once COVID is over. I'm not going anything till COVID is a bit settled down. So I really can't say what the difference is, except of course nowadays there's a lot more emphasis on TV, on television, and so on. But you know.
And how you told us that you were like typecast as like the old lady. How do you feel about that? Like, do you like to be in the typecast mode or whatever, or like it's something that you wanted to break the mold? In a I don't know.
Well, I haven't always been. I mean, I do. I'm quite often. I'm dying in a hospital bed, or I've got dementia or something. But sometimes I'm doing something interesting, like having a goose under my arm or being naked on the floor.
But what's your perception on like typecasting? Do you have like any perception of it, like on other actors, on your side?
Well, actually no, I don't, because I have had some really interesting things. Although, as I mentioned last week when I was lying hospital bed, I do earn most of my money lying on my back in the bed.
This is a great acting. This sounds like a great acting. Okay. Do you have any source of inspiration when you like starting like a role or prepared for a role? Something that helps you to get inspired?
Well, not really. I mean, my inspiration nowadays is the number of really great older English actresses there are. People like Judi Dench and Maggie Smith. People like that. I long to be along with them. I don't see any reason why I shouldn't. And I really want to get involved in the UK and try to get, these people are my inspiration. I have a very good friend. She lives in Berlin. She has bright red hair, cut very short. She's wonderful. She's regularly on stage with the Berlin Opera and all the rest of it. She is 97. And I really respect Evelyn, and I'm going to be like that.
Super young. I mean, yes. Really, okay. So do you have anything that helps you? I don't know, like meditation or special food that you eat, or I don't know, like something that you do like before getting into shooting, or I don't know.
Well, before I go on stage, I have a gin and tonic. Does that count?
Oh, that's very British.
Right before.
Okay. I guess German did German really appreciate that? I'm guessing, right? To drink before working.
It relaxes me.
Okay.
No, I mean, although I'm theoretically overweight, although my doctor says I'm not. I mean, I always do watch food. All my life, I've been careful to try and eat. I'm not vegan or anything. Not most of my family are vegan, but not me. But I do eat sensibly. I always have, and grown my own veg. And I moved in January of this year, and I've moved in with an old friend, and the two of us we laugh and we fight, and it's absolutely wonderful. A female friend, and we've got a little garden. In fact, this morning I've been in the garden. I've still got half the garden in my fingernails now. That really does relax me.
Relax you and give you like inspiration, maybe. Okay, great. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So do you create your own material? Do you write like scripts, or do anything that something that creatively you're creating?
People come to me, especially of course for translations. Somebody's got something in German, and that's it's not creating, but I translate it in such a way that it is created in English rather than just translated in English. It's recreated in English. And I did that this morning for a film, and I quite enjoy doing that sort of thing. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
That's great.
And you mentioned that you, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
You mentioned before a lot of different roles, and as we tried to schedule, we learned how busy you are, like traveling around and being on different, like very, very big variety of different sets. How's it to work like on so many different sets, and like, I mean, you are one day there and then the next one at another. How do you manage to not being confused and have all these different roles and yeah, what's maybe a good thing working on so many different sets?
I do get confused sometimes. I have been known to turn up at the wrong place on the wrong day, but it's only happened once. Or an hour late or an hour early, but people are very nice about that. Poor old soul, she's a bit crazy. It's concentration. It's when I absolutely love what I'm doing, so I give it my full attention, my full concentration. As for the different characters, well, I mean, when you've lived as long as I have, you've been all these people, you've got it inside you somewhere. All right, I've never actually officially had dementia, but I'm a bit crazy sometimes, you know, and I can sympathize. I've been with people who've died, so I've held people's hands when they've died. So when I'm dying myself, I know what it's like. But on the other hand, although and I had geese as a child, so I know how to hold a goose. It's not a problem. But I find it inside myself. I watch people a lot. I like to catch buses and then watch people and listen to them speaking to each other, even if they're speaking in German. It's very interesting.
So you use real life material for preparing for roles.
Exactly. You know, I think I've got to do this right. I've seen an old lady like that shopping in Aldi. I know just what I'm going to do. Yes.
So you know, in a sense, you feel that like all these roles are in a way like some angle of you, in a way.
Oh yes, absolutely, yes.
Even like the old lady in the hut with the goose. It's like some form of you.
Yeah, well, I say I had geese as a child. We had geese, so I know about geese. It was just such fun. That's the main thing. It's fun. I've even sometimes it's hard work. You're sitting there for 8 hours and nothing happens, and then the director says, "Right, you're on," and you've got to be with it immediately. I had that just recently in a film. That was very frustrating. Get there about 10 o'clock in the evening. It's going to be a night shoot. You get there at 10 in the evening, and they put you in a little caravan, and they leave you there till 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, something like that really does make me annoyed, and I've got steam coming out of my ears, and I'm furious. But once I'm there, in front of the camera, that's okay. I've cut some down.
Do you have any tips for younger actresses like you that like start their career in like not at the beginning, in like, you know what I mean? Do you have any tips for someone who want to get the business? You know.
And obviously be flexible, be nice. One of the things I did was telling me that we are going to stop this Zoom meeting in a minute.
Oh.
Almost a minute. We're still there, are we? Yes,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I was just starting out, and I'd done a workshop in Cologne with somebody, and then he said, "Well, I'm going to be doing a workshop in Prague." Obviously, so I said, "Oh, that's." He said, "We're going to have some casters there, casting people." So, and for some reason, something clicked in my head. So, at my own cost, I flew to Prague. I stayed in a hotel for 3 nights, and I did indeed meet someone from a casting agency in Prague, which got me the film job. So you have to be prepared sometimes to invest time, invest money if you possibly can, invest money in good photos, invest money in going places, even if, I mean, I've been up to Hamburg just to go to an agent to take some photos, and he's then got me work. It's no good sitting at home waiting for them to come to you. They won't. You've got to go out there, and that can cost money.
No, I wonder, is it like more difficult to work as an actress, you know, which is a little bit older, or it's like, you know, because you have this time gap before that, like you feel that you missed things in the industry, or that you haven't like learned like, okay.
No, I don't think so, because I could never have been I've got a character face. I've got a big nose and a character face. I've never in my life been pretty. And so when I was 40, I wasn't, okay, I might possibly be cast as a mother, but now when they want me, oh, you need a granny, get Trish. She is such a typical plump, little, lovely old granny. They don't know me. But I don't think any younger, when I was any younger, I don't think I'd have got much work at all. It's much harder to be younger because there are so many of you. When you get to my age and you're fit, you've got to be fit. You've got to be able to stand up all day long and work. I did another job doing photographs for a care thing, and they'd had various old people in. So we were taking photographs and videos all morning. Then we stopped for lunch. And they said to me, and I knew that the previous day another woman of my age had been there. They said, well, that's all right. They said, you can be filming in the house. You can go upstairs in the bedroom and have a sleep now for an hour. I said, pardon? They said, well, all the others have been here, have been up for a nap after lunch. I said, well, I don't do naps after lunch. I work.
So it's basically to be like a hardworking woman in a sense.
Yes, yes, exactly.
You're not taking a nap or Mittagsschlaf or
not complaining, not saying it's too cold or it's too hot or my feet up. Just crack on with it. And if you can't stand it, if you can't stand it, if you're not fit enough, you're in the wrong job. You do need to be fit for this job.
So it's not as easy as you might think, like as an outsider. It's not like an easy job. You need to be like work for long hours at night and to be prepared to be like even like in a good shape, right? In good physical shape. Okay.
Well, for example, next weekend I'm working in Hamburg, doing a advertising film, and I'm coming home on Saturday evening late, so I'll probably get back home about 1-2 o'clock on Sunday morning. Then at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, I have to be somewhere for a theatre rehearsal. I won't be having a lie-in on Sunday morning. I'll get 3 or 4 hours in bed, and then I'm off to a dress rehearsal where I've got to be on top form.
You really like this? Like you're really taking it like you don't have a lot of like spare time. It seems. That's okay. So just for recap, what would you like to be remembered from your work for another like 50, 100 years? Which you probably will be with us then, but still, for the younger generation, what would you like to be remembered for?
I don't think I've done it yet. It's still coming. There is something on the books that possibly in the next 12 months, that is what we remember her for. That is what we remember her for.
This is great. Yes. So your next role is what you will be remembered for.
No, I've already played the role. It's just things are happening behind the scenes to get it all into the public. I will be a 90-year-old Sicilian grandmother who has dementia and only speaks Sicilian Italian, although I can't. So I have to luckily I've got dementia, so I don't say a lot.
Wow. but if I wanted like to be more precise, what would be like the influence or the inspiration that you would like to spread to the next generation or to other people's through your work? I don't know if you take this for your consideration, but you know what I mean? Like,
only do it if you love it. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it for the honor. Don't do it to be a big star. If that happens, wonderful. But do it because you absolutely love it with your heart, because there's nothing else you can do. Okay. I waited 70 years to do this. All my life I wanted to do this. And now I'm doing it.
This is a great
approach.
This is a great, super optimistic approach, I have to say. Yeah. That's great. So Trish Osmond, thanks a lot for being with us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great, of course.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to have you.
Sure.
Okay.
And good luck.
Okay then. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.